Hello, my name is Josh, and this is a review of the Carnival Ecstasy out of Jacksonville, Florida, where we've cruised to Freeport and Princess Cays in the Bahamas. First things first, let's go over the negatives of a Carnival cruise, and there are just a few. One of the comedians aboard this ship told a few jokes about the people you generally find on Carnival cruises. He said, "I love going on Carnival because their cruises are filled with regular, normal people." In other words, you're pretty much spending a week with the same people you shop at Walmart with. And this was funny and a little true. While there are some exceptions, Carnival really isn't known as being a cruise line that attracts a lot of wealthy, high-class folks. The bars start to see patrons at about 8 in the morning, lots of drunk people all day. And now 5 cruises in with Carnival, on each cruise, I've witnessed a few passengers get so drunk that they have to be given special attention. On this cruise, we were on a ferry back from Princess Cays, and a few passengers were yelling really loud. F-words were flying, and there were kids all around them. And a mom went to get a Carnival employee to talk to a few of the guys. The employee asked the guy to stop. He said, "This is how you're supposed to act on a cruise." That was his response. The employee asked again, "Stop," and then he finally just left. And the group kept yelling lots of things that I'm sure kids really shouldn't hear. The second instance on this cruise was at one of the comedy shows. There was a 60-year-old guy who looked like a businessman who was completely wasted at a comedy show. He was heckling, yelling dumb things, and they tried to get him to stop over and over again, but again, gave up when he wouldn't. It doesn't happen a lot. As a matter of fact, only a few times on each cruise, but we've witnessed it on each cruise. Second, Carnival is cheap. Our cruise was probably in the $350 total price range. There's no way that covers all of our expenses. So they sell to you the entire trip. Alcohol is everywhere. There's a huge portion of the ship that's a casino. There are shops everywhere. Photos are taken at everything, and they're placed strategically on the way to everything so that you stop and buy them. Excursions at each stop you make, there's like scuba and shopping trips are constantly pushed to you and cost a lot. They want to make money wherever they can. And because we don't drink or gamble, most of this wasn't a problem for us. But our cabin attendant accidentally put our neighbor's bill on our door the last morning. $2 grand on alcohol and shopping for one room. I know there are all-you-can-drink packages for like $60 a day, and that comes with like 15 drinks, I think. And then there are unlimited sodas for $8.50 a day. So I'm assuming that their room cost what ours did. So for 2 people, a $700 cruise became a $2,700 cruise. So just know that you're going to determine what your week costs. On to the good. The employees are amazing. Most of them we saw were from the Philippines and speak pretty good English, but you'll meet people from all over. I specifically noticed on ours there were employees from Japan, from the UK, from India, and lots more. And they work all day really hard, and they keep the ship super clean. The food is some of the best you'll ever eat. You pay extra for premium food, but they offer lobster and more for that $20 extra, I think, per meal. The included food, the stuff you don't pay extra for, was more than enough though. There are restaurants that serve burgers, Mexican food, there are buffets, a pizza place open all the time, there's a salad bar, dessert bars, and for dinner I had mahi-mahi, tilapia, steak, conch, calamari, and there were excellent desserts. The rooms are pretty much what you'd expect. We had a king-size bed and a good-sized bathroom. You can have it cleaned in the morning and in the evening. They leave it with these towel animals that really make cruising with Carnival even more fun. So 2 of the days were spent completely on the boat, where there's plenty to do. There's a mini golf course on the top. There's water slides and a pool. There are hairy chest and lip sync competitions. There's comedy shows and entertainment shows. There are nightclubs. I think there were 5 large hot tubs. There's a spa and a large workout room with a sauna and so much more. Then there are clubs for kids that have activities all day long. It's really hard to be bored on a Carnival cruise. So we had 2 stops on our cruise. The first was Freeport on Grand Bahama Island. We had 5 in our group, and we're trying to keep our spending under control. Most of the excursions were anywhere from about $40 to $100 a person. So we were ready to try something else. I spoke with a cab driver at Freeport who offered $6 per person each way to take us to a local shopping area. He said, for $7 a person, I can take you to the beach. I'm so glad we didn't do that. A couple hundred feet from the boat, for about $100, we rented a small car that sat all 5 of us, and we saw so much more this way. The rental car company gave us this horrible map, and I got lost a few times, but who cares? You're literally in the Bahamas getting lost. There's a lot worse places to be lost. Eventually, after probably about 30 miles or so, we made it to the west end of the island. At this end of the island, we saw huge piles of conch shells and talked to a few locals. This island was recently hit by a hurricane and is still very much recovering. In fact, large parts of the island are still rebuilding and still don't have electricity, but the west end seems to be doing pretty well. The ocean there is so beautiful, but you really can't swim there. We stopped by a place where you can swim, with pigs even. $5 a person for entry to the beach and $40 a person to swim with pigs, which didn't even start for 2.5 more hours, so we just drove on. We stopped by the shopping area. Nothing is cheap in the Bahamas. I spoke to an American woman who moved to the Bahamas about 38 years ago to teach school, and she complained about the frequency of hurricanes and how they do without electricity for so long. I had no idea. Shops were clean and obviously set up for tourists, but still fun. And the shops are within walking distance to a local beach, but we had other plans. See, we had heard that some of the beach scenes for Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest were filmed about a half an hour away from where we were, and we're so glad we had a car. So we headed to Lucayan National Park. $5 a person gets you in, and it's the best money we spent all trip. With admission, you get access to walking trails that let you down into 2 underground caves. Both of these caves leading into one of the largest underwater cave systems in the world. And there's no swimming there, but they are beautiful. Water is crystal clear. On the trails, you get to witness several ecosystems found in the Bahamas, and right across the street, there's a trail you get to take to Gold Rock Beach. Wow! I've never been to a more beautiful beach. We saw crabs and lots of fish and spent a while in the water. Because we had a car, we stopped by the shopping areas again shortly after. We went to a local supermarket and took our time getting back on board. So the next day, we stopped at Princess Cays on the island of Eleuthera. I'm getting that one wrong, I know. It's a private resort that you have to take a ferry to, so it's a completely different experience than Freeport. First thing we did was ask about renting a car, since we had so much fun the day before, or taking a taxi, but everything is so far away from the resort that you really shouldn't do either. So it's a day at the beach, and that's it. But who's complaining? It was such a beautiful resort. The water is super clear. We bought a few snorkeling kits, and no lie, 100 feet from shore, just around some rocks, I saw hundreds of fish just below the surface all over. It is definitely worth trying. Carnival serves a buffet for lunch with burgers and more, and it's included in the cost of your cruise. Of course, though, there's still plenty to spend money on. There's a stingray experience, there's snorkeling excursions, there's alcohol everywhere and shopping everywhere. And just outside of the resort is a small shopping area that's not owned by Carnival, which was fun, but you can't tell it's not owned by Carnival from the prices. Everything is still more than you'd expect to spend. So here's a little about Carnival's destinations. Most of our cruises have been from New Orleans or Galveston, Texas. So our day trips have been to Progreso and Cozumel. Both of those are in Mexico. And I'll say this, there's far more to do in Mexico than there is in the Bahamas. There's lots more shopping, there are Mayan ruins to explore, there's just more to do. Progreso's beaches aren't the best, and Cozumel, if you rent a car and go to the east side of the island, you can't swim there. But on the west side of the island, Cozumel's beaches are just as beautiful as the Bahamas. The water is just as clear. There's snorkeling there too. I'm not sure we'll drive all the way to Jacksonville again for the Bahamas, but it's hard to complain about such a beautiful set of islands. The thing about Carnival is if you plan beforehand, everything is quick. We got on the boat by appointment. We got off quickly because we carried all of our luggage. You pay tips in advance, so you're not worried about how much to give. It's a really good experience. The boat is pretty crowded, but you only notice that if you're in one of the main parts of the boat at specific times, like a normal meal time, when a lip sync party is moving through, when a limited edition charm is about to go on sale, or when one of the bigger shows is starting or letting out. Crowds were never a problem. So I'd highly recommend this cruise for anyone wanting a wonderful and reasonably priced vacation. The positives far outweigh the negatives, but just so you know, it really helps to plan your trip out before you get on the boat, especially for things like Wi-Fi. We ended up using Wi-Fi for 3 days at $17 a day, which if we had bought it through Carnival's website beforehand, would have only been $10.50 a day. Hope you enjoyed this video.